All right. Hey, eighth graders. This is Miss Sepulveda. I hope you guys are doing well in the first couple days that we have been doing learning from home or distance learning or whatever you want to call it. So today starts the official day one of our independent study packet. And so in order to make sure that all of you guys who are in Read 180 and who might have a harder time reading or a harder time focusing, or who might not have been able to pick up a packet and have a hard time reading on the computer, whatever it is, I'm going to be reading out the passages that you guys have to read each day so that it's just easier and hopefully it helps you. So today, as you can see on my screen, we are doing, let's see, you have to do independent reading, 30 minutes of reading a book or article of your choice. That should already be part of your habits. We are going to be doing a Banksy art walk and reflection, and we are going to be reading and annotating source one. An artwork a day keeps the Big Apple at bay, for information to use in your argumentative essay. And then for writing, just to follow up on those same activities, you're going to be completing the Banksy art reflection and analyzing the writing prompt. So let's dive in. Okay, so this is your reflection that you have to do based on these images. Notice that there's that. I don't know if this little thingy is part of it or not, but definitely the little girl with the balloon is. These images. This, like, ooh, it's like a dumpster fire. Ooh, that's an intense picture. Okay, so this is the writing prompt that eventually you guys are going to have to do. So I'll go ahead and read it just so that we can have this in our minds as we are reading through the articles. Read and analyze the writing prompt. Identify the task and begin to plan your essay, your assignment, because eighth graders are good at giving their opinion and can understand real issues. The Bakersfield City School District office, we clearly took this from them, is holding a forum to which you have been invited to give your opinion on graffiti and art. Before you give your opinion, however, you have completed some research on your topic. Your research has turned up 3 sources. Argumentative essay assignment. Your assignment is to use the research sources to write a multi-paragraph argumentative essay stating whether graffiti and street art should be considered art or should be considered a crime. On day 1, you will take notes using source 1. On day 2, you will take notes using sources 2 and 3, as well as develop a thesis statement. Days 3, 4, and 5, you will draft and finalize your assignment argumentative essay. Make sure you establish an argumentative claim and support your claim with reasons and details from the sources you have read. Develop your ideas clearly and use your own words, except when quoting directly from the sources. Be sure to identify the sources by title or number when using details or facts directly from the sources. Okay, I'm not going to read the scoring right now. I'm going to dive into the actual source. Okay, so source 1, which after I read it, you guys should be annotating it either if you have a paper copy, just by directly on that copy, or if you do not have a paper copy, just on a separate piece of paper or a separate Google Doc. Source 1, an artwork a day keeps the Big Apple at bay. By Associated Press, adapted by News ELA staff, 11/10/13. New York. No one has ever photographed British graffiti artist Banksy, but he's well known, especially in New York City. That's because the secretive street artist recently ended his self-announced month-long residency in the Big Apple. During his 31-day stay in October, Banksy created surprise exhibits, sculptures, and stencils spray-painted in public spaces, including on streets, under bridges, and on buildings. By the time the trickster left, New Yorkers were debating, is Banksy a jerk or a genius? Banksy began his career spray painting buildings in Bristol, England. He is known for his distinctive stencils and political statements through art, but he has never been identified and no one knows his real name. In 2011, he was even nominated for an Academy Award for a documentary he directed called Exit Through the Gift Shop. Artwork placed in public areas is usually without permission is called street art. Banksy is perhaps the most famous street artist in the world. The walls started to talk to them. Yes, this is still source one. Banksy created a new picture, video, or trick every day in New York City in October. The art ranged from a stencil of a dog to a boy holding a hammer and spray-painted messages. Throughout his 31 days in New York, Banksy put pictures of his work on BanksyNY.com with clues as to locations, but nothing precise. That sparked a treasure hunt by fans who hunted the works down, shared locations via social media, then swarmed to see them. Before he left New York, Banksy donated a painting that he had changed. Mountains and a river were all that could be seen in the original $50 painting. Then Banksy added a Nazi soldier to the painting, titled it The Banality of Evil, and redonated it to a Manhattan charity thrift store called Housing Works. The store sells used items to raise money to fight homelessness and AIDS. The charity put Banksy's altered painting up for sale. It eventually sold for $615,000, with the proceeds going toward the charity. New Yorkers like Sean Lynch admire Banksy and think he is one of the most captivating artists of our generation. He described visiting Banksy's work around the city as magical and liked hearing conversations about art that Banksy's work inspired. He said that people of all different walks and cultures were sharing opinions, sharing stories. The walls started to talk to them in a way. His WTC essay offends many. But Banksy's art did not always make people happy. Some New Yorkers see Banksy as a street punk, not an artist. They urged him to go back to England by posting on social media sites like Twitter and Facebook. Many New Yorkers were particularly offended by an essay Banksy wrote criticizing the building replacing the World Trade Center, which was destroyed by a terror attack on 9/11. Banksy called the new design ordinary and added, "It so clearly proclaims the terrorists won." He offered the essay to the New York Times. The newspaper wouldn't print it, so Banksy posted it on his website. The terrorists won comment upset New Yorkers like Brian Major, 51 of Brooklyn. "Enough," Major said. "Who is this guy? Everybody's got a right to an opinion, but what gives him any kind of credibility in New York? Shut up, Banksy. Go home." A lifelong New Yorker, Major says he understands graffiti as an art, but he doesn't think Banksy's art is all that good. He does think that he is good at selling his art. Professor Radhika Subramanian agrees. There's plenty of wit in what he does, as well as some thoroughly ordinary, sometimes pleasant, sometimes common, but sometimes sweet things, said Subramanian, who teaches at Parsons New York School for Design in Manhattan. She went on to explain that no matter how Banksy's work is viewed, there is no denying that he is an expert when it comes to promoting his work to the general public. The mayor is not amused. Subramaniam says Banksy is among a group of graffiti artists whose work is ultimately earned respect from respected artists. But Banksy also fits into a new space where artists use public space to create art. That leads to conversations about who owns these public spaces and what can happen there. New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg is often credited for cleaning up New York City's public spaces. When asked about Banksy, Bloomberg called graffiti a sign of decay and loss of control. On his last day in New York, Banksy tagged or signed his name on a building. The building is located in Queens, one of New York's boroughs. But instead of using spray paint, Banksy spelled out his name with giant balloon letters. The inflatable letters were stuck to one of the building's walls and later taken down by police. The police did not consider the letters art. Before he left New York City, Banksy explained his balloon piece on his website. The work, he said, paid respect to the most well-known form of graffiti called tagging. He also said it paid respect to New York City, the city that had basically invented tagging. Then the secretive artist joked, or it's another Banksy piece that's full of hot air. All right, so that is the end of source 1. And you guys go ahead and listen to my reading it again or reread it yourself and annotate it to begin planning for your essay. Remember, you are writing your opinion, an argumentative essay on whether you think that graffiti is art or if you think that it is a crime. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope that this was helpful, and I will see you guys, or you'll see me again tomorrow for source number 2. Bye, guys.